Thank you for being here on time, and we are going to get started. Just a few housekeeping items. The restrooms are down the hall to your right, or I might be leading you somewhere else, but I believe it is to the right. And this should go for about an hour, but we are going to highly encourage you to stay for the sake of after the presentations, that we are going to schedule monthly meetings. So not necessarily like September 14th, like that, but for the cities of Anaheim and Brea and so forth, we will say it's the second Mondays at 2 o'clock. And then we'll make determinations to the locations of those meetings, and then I will be sending out calendar invites. So with that, good morning. I want to introduce Chief Adam Hawley, who is the Chief of Police for the City of Brea and the Chair of the North Orange County Public Safety Collaborative.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I applaud all of you for being here on relatively early on a Friday morning. I feel like it's Friday. I have my large cup of coffee, and I see many of you do too. But I'm just pleased to be here, and I want to share some changes. And much like everything in life, there is constant change, but there's also consistency with that change. And you all being here today in our 6th year of the North Orange County Public Safety Collaborative and these community-based organization funding, that's the consistency that we see. The change is really on the administrative side. So this past spring, I took over as chair of the North Orange County Public Safety Collaborative. Something new with that as well is to facilitate good governance and consistency. I brought in a vice chair as well. So Chief Adam Foster from La Habra Police Department is our vice chair. And then some other change shortly after that, when we came to mid-year, we hit our new fiscal year in July here in the city of Brea. Some changes for the collaborative itself. Number one, the city of Brea took over as the fiduciary agent from the city of Stanton for the collaborative. You won't notice much change on your end. It's more on the business side. But one thing that happened as a result of that I am super excited about is that the city of Brea also made a new pickup. And that is Sue Kang is now an employee of the city of Brea. So instead of driving to Stanton, I can walk down the hallway and see Stu, which if you all know Sue, that's an amazing thing. Every single day you get a chance to interact with her. The consistency though. Part of our mission with the collaborative is to break down silos and not sustained conditions, but to improve conditions. And that's where a lot of the community-based organizations come into play. Sue pointed this out, and it's true. On the funding side of things, we've never really gone out and solicited funds. It's come to us, and it's come to us because of the good work we've been doing in our target areas. And you all play a significant role in that. We're very, very pleased to be able to continue to support you. And I wanted to congratulate all of you for your award funding. Again, for many of you, this is nothing new. Some of you have probably been fundees since the inception of this 6 years ago. But we do have some new parties here today. We have 3 or 4 new community-based organizations, and we wanted to welcome you. And we hope that your programs are successful and that we're able to continue this opportunity to fund and support you into the future. So with that, I'm going to turn things back over to your MC today, the pro, who will guide you through all that you need to know in order to have a successful year. So again, congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you, Chief. So I will get started. We do have a packed agenda, and I'm going to mess this up. Okay, so just a quick overview. $8 million State Budget Act of 2022, 60% to the community-based organizations and 40% to the cities. When you look at the left-hand bottom tile, the local city funding allocation to 11 cities will be $100,000. In the middle tile, the regional CBO funding allocation was 1.8 out of that 4.3, and then the regional cities funding allocation is 1.8, which means that the coordinating advisory board that Chief Holly was speaking about most likely will collectively use those funds to address one or maybe two of those focus areas. And then the local CBO funding, of course, as you know, is the 225 in each of the 11 cities. This was brought up at the Bidders Conference, as you recall. We had only one state senator for the region, and when it was redistricted, we now have 5 state senators representing the same cities and 5 assembly members representing the same cities. So these are your elected. I didn't distinguish which cities they are, but for example, the city of Brea, we have Senator Archuleta, who is now our new state senator. Used to be, still is. It's in an odd time because Senator Newman, his term will end December 2024. So there's like a little bit of an overlap, if you will, because Senator Archuleta does represent Brea, but so does Senator Newman as his term ends next year, at the end of next calendar year. I highly recommend, and I don't know if Senator Newman's office is here, but I do want to again thank his office and him for championing this, the funding from the beginning back in April of 2017 to the current funding cycle. And then many of you, if not all of you, of course, have been recipients of his advocacy, but some of you have even had meetings where he had separate funding that he advocated for your organization. And like Chief Holly was saying, these are the coordinating advisory boards of each of the cities. Really, what was just the, I hardly try not to use this word, but this is a very special group. They're different for sure, but this is a very special group that make things happen and are practical folks that really experience the frontline issues that you address every day, 24/7. These are public safety representatives in our region, and they see it firsthand, and they see where practical sense is what needs to be deployed. And so these are the folks that really guide some of these decisions on the funding. Having said that, I want to bring that back to you later. This current, this past funding period, we put together a faith-based advisory committee, and these folks, John Schaefer, Jason Phillips, and Jay Williams, have really brought in and engaged the faith-based leaders in the regions that you serve. And so you will see some of these flyers, and it may hit you, and if it doesn't, we will make sure that that is promoted to you, because some of their work and the efforts that they do align with the work that you do. So this is the big reveal today. Who were the funded? Of course, you yourselves know because you received the letters. But here are the various agencies that receive funding, and what these are the titles, that the project titles that you put. And so we just put that and maybe modified it a little bit. But these are the CBOs that are doing the work in the 3 focus areas. And by the way, this PowerPoint will be sent to you. And so we have our the focus area of homeless outreach, and then the youth violence prevention and intervention. These are the folks that work in the area of, and though that's a big category, there are very specialized resources, and you also then customize those resources and services to the needs of the particular region that you serve. I'm going to point out Tri-City Podcast. This is, I do believe, and I'm going to see a nod in the head or maybe a no, but this is really an outcome of the collaboration the first 4 years. that these, yeah, I see the nod in the head. So I'm getting an affirmation that I'm not speaking out of turn. This was a collaboration that 3 agencies covering actually 4 cities got together and proposed this. Similarly with Solidarity and My Safe Harbor, I don't know if you knew each other before, but you do now because you proposed something together. So, and then what I also did for the benefit of the after this meeting is that I also then grouped it to the cities that you have put in your proposal, which cities you serve. And so here are in the areas that you serve and the cities that you serve, you'll see, and please look out for these folks as you network later. And then this is the regional. So let me touch upon a little bit about, this was touched upon at the Bidders Conference and extensively on the RFP process itself, is the selection committee. The selection committee is not made up of Chief Hawley, myself, even Laura from Social Science Research Center, or any of the chiefs that you saw on the Coordinating Advisory Board. They are, as stated, subject matter experts, retired. That's the key. They're not active right now. They're not employed with the county or an agency in the region. Some of them actually have retired and moved out, but they've only been retired a year, 2 years, 3 years at the most. They're very familiar with all of you. Not all of you, but some of you, and in the field or in the focus area that you propose. So these are folks that are clearly arm's length away from the chiefs, from you. You may even know them if I ever tell you their names, but I won't tell you their names. That was one of the biggest promise. And how did I find them? For the benefit of being old. You've been in this field long enough that you know folks and you've worked with them, your colleagues, the last 25 years. So you know that you kind of rose up with them, or they were your mentors, that they're older, and hey, I need a favor. So it was a lot of voluntold, and they accepted. And this was the biggest game changer, because when they moved, do I have to move all the way or do I have to drive all the way to 3 different counties to meet with them? The virtual meetings. Of course, there's negatives and there's positives. That was a positive for me, that we were able to meet in that way, even though they moved out of the county, several counties away. And then the rating process of the applications. So again, based on your application and how you address the items that were clearly outlined in each of the sections, whether it's the project narrative, the needs, and so forth, and then following the rating independently, they got a boatload of applications, and then they independently rated it, and then convened together. So there was a meeting beforehand with the orientation for them, and then they received the applications. They might have peppered me with some questions, and then after they finished, then we had a final review. And what was comforting for me was that the raters were pretty much similar. There wasn't like 2 of them had this and 1 of them had this. It was pretty much, they kind of hovered around the same rating and the feedback that they provided. The ratings and the recommendations for the funding of your applications are made solely by the selection committee, not Chief Hawley, not me, not any of the members of the Coordinating Advisory Board, period. So please be aware of that. I was talking to Laura, and Laura goes, "You do sound like a broken record when you say that." But I still get questions, or like, "Hey, why did the chiefs only gave us, X amount of dollars?" The chiefs? No. It was the selection committee based on the merits of your application. So I want to go over a couple of things. There were 4 items in the RFP that we have put down. So we were looking for collaboration, we were looking for replication, impact model and program evaluation, and the communications planning. So 2 of the items here I want to address, and then Laura is going to be addressing the replication and the impact model. So what does it mean that in collaboration that there is purpose, vision, mission, values, and positioning? You all know these. These are words that are not unfamiliar to you. But I want to really drill it down to what these means, because we hear it over and over again and we forget what they mean. And now I don't know if it's going to show up. Oh, here it goes. Purpose. Oh, this is fancy. This is not how it looked like on my end. I'm like, wow. So purpose is why we exist. Vision, here we go. What we aim to achieve. And then the mission, how we plan to achieve our vision. The values, what we stand for and how we behave. Positioning is how are we different from our competitors? What's the difference between one Boys and Girls Club from another? It's probably the community that you serve, because you have, of course, the national umbrella of a Boys and Girls Club, and you have similar values and so forth. But then these clubs are very different when you look at them next to each other. So there is a differentiation, and that's where the positioning is held. I'm a little amazed at this little... So please be aware that even though you've heard these words over and over again about purpose, vision, mission, values, and positioning, this is what we're asking for. This is what we'd like you to, when you know and are able to answer these questions, then you're much more poised to collaborate because you know who you are. So now how can we partner? Okay, communications planning. So we talked about this. Your efforts are credible, relevant, unique, durable, and inspiring. So what does that mean? Credible. People can believe you. It is to be believed. Relevant. People care about the premise. This unique, I was a little bit, no one else can believably claim it. You guys are burdened with that. Durable, it's that same word, sustainable, right? It can last. And then inspiring. It does engage people emotionally. I know it does because you know how it does. You talk about the youth that you serve. You talk about the seniors that you serve. You talk about the families that are down and out that you serve. It does engage your folks, your constituents, in an emotional way, and there is impact. I just wanted to kind of go over this so that you understand going forward with this funding and some of the, to keep these things in mind. Okay, so these are more announcements and housekeeping items. Will there be another funding opportunity? Likely. That's my best word, likely. There may be another funding round coming up. It remains to be seen, but likely. So there is discussion, ongoing discussion. No decision has been made, but there is ongoing decision or discussion. Having said that, the next item that I would like to, and we will be emailing you, and it will be on our website. So I know, frankly, I don't go on websites unless I'm looking for something, but every once in a while, especially if you get an email alert, go to the website. There may be updated information, especially about funding opportunity. And really the website's purpose was just for that. Funding opportunity and then replication of this model for other regions to replicate. So please do that. Monthly meetings, like I said earlier, I would like to make sure that we all agree, the groups that you're in, whether it's the city of Anaheim or Brea or Cypress and so forth, that the CBOs that are in those cities, serving those cities, you agree upon, let's meet the second Thursdays at 4 o'clock. And then locations to be determined, because I'd like to at least get that started, and we will start meeting in the month of October. So I'll give you a whole, the month of September getting ready, because performance period starts then, getting ready for your shop to open as funding is implemented. And then in October, let's meet and see how, or the frequency of the meetings. Is it going to be monthly? Is it going to be quarterly? But at that first meeting, we'll determine that, and then make sure that if it's the second Thursdays at 4 o'clock, then that's a good time. And then who will be attending these meetings? That's the other. And then what is the purpose of those meetings? Okay? And then maybe this should have been the first, but forms. If you have not turned in your W-9 or your ACH completed and signed, please do that today. The City of Brea will not be able to take your ACH via email. It has to be hand-delivered hard copy. Okay, it's just more security reasons. And I did neglect to mention in the beginning, and I know that Chief Hawley did mention it, you're in the City of Brea. You're used to coming to the City of Buena Park because they usually host it, and it's a larger city. Yes, City of Brea is a new fiscal agency, and I do have to give thanks to the folks who made this room happen. The ladies who are out there, Jocelyn is the executive assistant to Chief Hawley, and then Yetica Ambrose, who you'll see her name frequently, is the management analyst also on this project. And then most of you, if not all of you, should know Jason. Jason is over there in the back. And he is here at the City of Brea 2 Fridays a month to bridge the City of Stanton and the infrastructure that we created into the City of Brea so that it is seamless and that there is no hiccups to the transition from one fiscal agency to the other. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay, good. And then I just wanted to, and then when Jason comes up for his part, he'll talk more about the revised budget and the budget narrative and some of the other forms that we will be discussing and then submitting, but we'll be sending those to you. And then lastly, collaboratives initiatives. We are in the heat of developing a resource map and then planning the stages for a homeless census. So not a point in time, but a homeless census report sometime probably next year is what I'm going to assume. So we're very excited about those two initiatives. And then the last thing, and I think most of you have, although I still have my Stanton email, by the way, but they're going to turn that off at the end of September. So please do not email me on my Stanton email, but I do get a couple of emails sent. And I know it's like probably auto-populating when you try to send me something and it goes to the Stanton, but make sure it is the City of Brea, which is why I wanted to make sure you have this information. And again, we will be emailing you this entire PowerPoint and all the PowerPoint presentations we have today. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to have Jason come up.
Thank you so much, Sue. It is great seeing you guys all again. Different environment, but I feel like it's a great opportunity for us to continue building that relationship and to further streamline all of our processes. If you guys haven't met me, my name is Jason Huynh. I'm more of the fiscal administration side to the thing. So if you guys, are the ones sending in the invoices, probably they came to me when I was at the City of Stanton. And so I'm here at the City of Brea on a temporary basis to help kind of with the transition process to a new fiscal agent. And we have further refined some of the processes. The analogy that I like to give is that over the past year and a half that I've been on this project, we've kind of turned this into a well-oiled machine. Now the next step is that final tweak of just paving the roads for it, really. And so with that, we have a couple of things, all with the goals of clearer guidelines and greater support. So this might look like a lot, but honestly, it will be very familiar to you guys. We're really taking best practices from certain CBOs, trying to make sure that you guys aren't, asking, questions when we've been able to, find even better solutions. My goal is to make the invoicing as simplified as possible for you guys, so that there's not a whole lot of email back and forth. You guys get paid promptly. And it really starts from the top with the onboarding period. Sue had the great vision to kind of do some of these pre-invoicing forms right up front as you guys walked in. Our standard agreement will look very similar, but we broke out some of the invoice prerequisites so that you guys knew exactly what to fill out. The project budget table and narrative, we've redesigned some of the cost categories so that you guys know exactly what goes where. And added some extra language regarding participant incentives, which I know is a expense that has been a bit of a gray area in the past, and we wanted to clarify this is how we make sure that it's all authorized and would stand up to muster if we got audited by the state. So one of the big changes that I'm doing is to try to get to know you guys more upfront and your invoicing process and what you guys submit. So I have a invoicing orientation that is going to be customized one-on-one with each CBO. We're gonna have a backup documentation checklist. So you're never asking, okay, I'm making this purchase, what sort of receipts do I need to send? It should be all there for you. And when you send your first invoice, I'll tell you, okay, here's what we might need to add. Here are stuff that you guys sent, which was great, but we don't really need that level of detail. And so after that initial invoice review, it really should be like on top of it. You guys know exactly what to expect, and we know what to expect from you. There are some changes to invoicing restrictions. We are changing the way that we do indirect costs. I know that indirect costs has been sort of a question of is it allowed, it wasn't allowed, and we wanted to clarify that that sort of administrative overhead is allowed, but it's not on a strict percentage basis. You have to provide documentation of this is the person that is managing the administrative side of this grant, and let's say 5 or 10% of their time is dedicated to that. And then that way we know kind of, oh, it's not just money that floated out there as indirect costs. We can see kind of put a name to it. The partner CBOs will be submitting the invoices to the lead CBOs monthly. A lot of you guys already know that. If you're a part of a collaborative project, we have all of the invoicing through that one lead CBO for the project. But I just wanted to kind of re-emphasize that for a couple of others. The participant incentive distribution forms, I mentioned that it's very simple. That one is, it's basically what was the incentive, who was the participant that received it, and when was it distributed. Invoices will be, just as last time, due on the 15th of every month, and we will allow for extensions as long as you guys let us know. And then that way, if you guys send it in on the 15th of the month, we should have it to you in the next week, or at the very latest by the end of the month. That way nobody falls behind on the invoicing, and we can kind of keep tabs on our end. Finally, the project budget. We have made that budget table a little bit easier to read, and we're also going to be enforcing it a bit more. So let's say you guys have budgeted $20,000 for salaries and benefits. If there's an invoice that takes it over that 20,000, then it kind of indicates to me, oh, you guys need to modify your budget. And any of you guys, if you've ever modified your budget, you know that that's not a hugely formal bureaucratic process. It's simply, here's the new numbers, here's our justification for reallocating those funds. And we're generally pretty flexible when it comes to budget modifications. So here is a timeline of, kind of important dates. Obviously, right now we're in the onboarding period where you guys will be seeing the standard agreement and the invoice prerequisites. The period of performance begins September 1st, 2023, and you should have the backup documentation checklist there so that you can keep those in mind as you start up your programs. The first invoice would be due October 15th, so that would be for the month of September. And we'll have the first invoice review meetings promptly thereafter. And then all the subsequent invoices, 15th of every month, send them in. End of the month, they're paid. The period of performance ends June 30th, 2025. I know that this sort of 22-week every month performance period is a little odd. We've been calling this year 6, but it was like year 5 was like a year and a half. Year 6 is looking like close to 2 years. So it is a little bit odd for us, but it just gives you guys more time to do more good in your communities. And our funding period for this one will close at the end of July. I know that if you guys were part of this past funding cycle, the ending was a little bit rushed and abrupt, and I apologize for that. That was something that it was just to facilitate the transition from Stanton to Brea. But this time, it should be a lot smoother because we're not expecting the fiscal agent to change hands. So we'll give you guys that full month to close out all of your invoicing. And with that, that is all that I have to present. So I'm going to turn it back to Sue. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, and I will definitely be emailing you guys out with more detailed information. But once I have all of those attachments out to you guys, it should be pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. Thank you.
I want to thank Jason for agreeing to work on his 2 extra. He's working overtime for this, really. So I really want to thank him. And then just some of the ways that he's implemented some good practices when it comes to invoicing. Were you all scared when you saw his presentations, or you're good because it was explained so coherently and clear that you have no questions? And I'm sure when you dig into, as we start invoicing, there's probably going to be questions, but he is a very good go-to. And then also with Yetica coming on board, so you've got a two-person team assisting you. And again, I love the fact that he had put down that this is really to have greater support for you. The last thing sometimes you want to do is work on finances when you've got other pressing issues. So I completely get you. So I am going to ask Laura Gil-Trejo to come up for the Social Science Research Center. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see familiar faces and new faces today. So there is an evaluation component to the funding. So those of you who have been funded before, you should be pretty familiar with this process. So just to give you an overview, just to let you know, my PowerPoint presentation is not as fancy as Sue's PowerPoint presentation. So the purpose of the evaluation is, one, to document the collaborative's effort throughout the funding period. Two, and this sentence came out looking really weird. It's not a yes? I'm not loud enough? Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay. So the first goal is to document the collaborative's effort throughout the funding period. The second is really to help develop the evaluation capacity of the North Orange County Public Safety Collaborative funded agencies. And the third is to evaluate how the funds have increased the agency's capacity and sustainability. So there's really three goals, and I don't know why this keeps on happening to me. Okay, so for the first goal, documenting the collaborative's effort throughout the funding period, we have progress reports for this to achieve this goal. And the purpose of the progress report is to keep track of the outputs associated with your proposed project. And the progress reports will be collected either monthly, quarterly, semesterly, or by cohort. What happens is each agency receives a tailored progress report template to update and submit to us at an agreed upon reporting period. So each of you will have an agreed upon reporting period that's determined collaboratively between the SSRC and your agency. If you're a new agency joining the collaborative, the SSRC will schedule a meeting with you to discuss the objective of your funded programming activity and to determine a reporting period for you, whether you want that to be monthly, quarterly, or what have you. If you are a previously funded agency, we're going to send out a short survey so we can avoid a meeting time. We're really kind of aware of how much time and effort it takes to schedule meetings. So we'll send a short survey to obtain information about your progress report preference. And if you want a meeting, we'll ask you in the survey if you want a meeting to discuss the progress report. If there's any confusion about the progress report, or if you want to change to your template because maybe you didn't understand the progress report process last year. Just to give you a sense of what a progress report looks like, this is Lot 318's progress report, and this is only a piece of a progress report, and this is for all 4 quarters. It just gives you a sense of what it looks like. It shouldn't be too scary. If you're a new agency, like I said, we go over this with you to make sure that your progress report is tailored to your programmatic activities and what we need from you. We don't ask you for things that you can't collect or that makes your participants feel uncomfortable, for example. So we only ask you for things that you feel comfortable collecting. With respect to the second goal, assisting to develop the evaluation capacity of North Orange County Public Safety Collaborative funded agencies through evaluation support, we have small evaluations that we offer through the Social Science Research Center. So as part of your funding, your agency can access evaluation support from the Social Science Research Center at no cost. This opportunity is meant to be a learning experience and has no impact on your future funding or any future funding opportunities that you might have. Examples of small evaluations are post-event surveys, small-scale community needs assessments, key informant interviews, focus group discussions, and so on. You can see the rest of those right there. If you're a previously funded agency, you'll be able to indicate your interest in a small eval on the short survey that I just said I will be sending out to you. And for a previously funded agency, a lot of you, we've started evaluations for you, and so we're continuing to work on the evaluation that we've been working on together with you. So for some of you, for example, we've already developed instrumentation for you, and so this year is going to be administering those. So for example, Project Kinship, we have surveys developed for you. This year, we're talking about implementation. So if you're a new grantee, when we meet with you, we'll talk about what the possibilities are for small evaluation. Of course, these are optional. This is not something that you have to take advantage of, but it's something that's available to you should you want it. In terms of evaluating how funds have increased agencies' capacities and sustainability, we have a community-based organizational capacity survey that we will be administering. We do it annually, and this year we'll be sending it out in early October. So we ask that you please participate in that survey. It's very important to the evaluation of the collaborative. It probably takes about maybe 15 to 20 minutes to take. It asks really various questions about your organization's capacity, strategic planning, evaluation capacity, marketing, so just various aspects of your organization's capacity. So if you can please complete that. You might find that there's more than one person that needs to complete the survey, so you can complete it, save it, pass it on to somebody else in your organization, so it works that way so that you can have multiple people take it. In addition to that, we will be doing key informant interviews with a sample of grantees that take advantage of some of the opportunities of the collaborative. So the SSRC will be reaching out to some of those selected CBOs in June of 2024 to do key informant interviews if we select you. So that is about it that I have for you today. Obviously, there'll be some more during those surveys. When we administer the survey to you, if you're a previously funded agency, there'll be an opportunity. We'll ask you if you want to have a meeting, and that will be optional for you if you want that meeting as well. So anyways, that's all I have for you today. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, I think I am done. I think all of our presenters, oh, there's one more thing. Tim Shaw, who you're familiar with, not the politician, the consultant, is available. He just couldn't make it today. So we still have, through his services, the board development, the strategic visioning, marketing, grant writing. Those consulting services are made available. And I know many of you have been recipients to that. And so he is offering that. And if you are interested for your organization, email me, and then I'll coordinate it and facilitate it, and then make sure that Tim has it. And once Tim has it on his docket, then he'll come and reach out to you. Okay? So any other questions or concerns? So this is what I would like to do. It's going to be a little bit of an orderly chaos, but I would like to see if we could have the cities and the CBOs, and I'll try to go back, to see if you could group and come up with a date, meaning like the 4 Thursdays at 4 o'clock. Something like that for each of the cities and the regions that you represent. So if we could do that, I would appreciate it. And then what I will do on my end is put together, so you have it up on the screen. These are the cities, and if you don't see yourself here, then you're regional. So, and you should know that because you obviously apply. I did not make this up. So I would say if maybe move around a little bit. We need to move anyways. We had donuts. So, you know, if we can I could designate, although I don't know if I have enough tables to represent all the cities. But let's just go from here. This would be Anaheim. Brea could be right here.
Maybe you can do like 2 per table.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead. You do it.
Yeah, we could have like Anaheim, Brea on this table here. That table towards the back will be Buena Park and Cypress. Fullerton, it seems like pretty large, so we'll have Fullerton up here.
In the center.
Yep, in the center.
La Habra in the back with La Palma.
Yep.
And then Placentia in the last seat with Orange. And then Stanton and Yorba Linda up front on the left.